So in today's video, it's just going to be a quick walkthrough. I have a swap coming up, and her favorite colors were purples and peaches, and she likes florals. So I dug through what I had. It is a part of the Sewing Loft. Heather Valentine is the host, and it's usually based on, you know, scrappy. Let's use what we have. Don't go off and buy stuff to participate. And so I was able to dig through my peaches or pinks bin and my purples bin. And I have been wanting for years. So this is Pat Sloan's Holiday Celebrations. It is no longer being printed, but it is available in multiple locations from people that had stock of it. You'll see here on the back, in her videos, Pat Sloan's videos, she has a red and white quilt in the background, and she calls it Crush, which she does sell as a standalone pattern. But this book has a blue and white version, which is actually very nautical. She used lots of nautical prints. See if I can get this up here for you. And in the book, she's calling it Liberty Hill, but it is the same pattern as Crush. And I love it. I've wanted to do this forever. And so I am making a table runner out of a quilt pattern. So I'm going to do 5 blocks. All of my centers where she has that print, that light print, is going to be my purples. All of where she has those multi-blues are going to be my peaches. And since I'm doing 5, I went center and then left, right, left, right. And then my background, she uses 2. If I do the quilt, I probably would. But for the table runner, I'm just going to go ahead and use 1 tone-on-tone white for my backgrounds. But I wanted to come in here. Everything's been cut to pattern. I can't give that out. Just find the book. I found it for $5.99. I mean, you can't beat that. It's a book. Has 17 quilts. 17 quilts and more for 6 seasonal occasions. And I've always loved Pat Sloan's patterns. So to me, $5.99 for a whole book versus, you know, $5 for 1 pattern works for me. On one of the steps, we do need to mark a diagonal line. And so I wanted to come in here real quickly and just show. I use sandpaper. Some have the bigger pieces. This was all I've had in my drawer. It fits. I don't get it bent and ruined. It's been very loyal to me for a couple of years. And so I do lay my fabrics face side down. And I come in here with any ruler that's at least long enough. You don't want to have to adjust your ruler and slide it while you're making this line. Now, if it was written that we needed to mark 2 lines, again, this lovely sandpaper trick works well. Take one of these. It's a 9-inch. It's a Creative Kids. It's telling me RSMN. You put your centers on that center line, and then you mark it twice, which gives you 2 at a time half square triangles. But in this case, we don't. She wants us to mark once. I'm going to finish these up. And then I'm going to move on to the next step, which will be very boring for you to watch, but I am going to do the same trick on the back of these other pieces as written. I just, place them here and follow suit. I'll be back. So all my squares are marked as indicated in the book. I've separated into separate halves of the block. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and proceed to do my half square triangles on both halves for the white. And then I will do my half square triangles of the purple. And then I do chain piece. So I'm just gonna take this whole pile to the machine, chain stitch all of these, press them all, trim them all, and then come right back and chain stitch all of those, press and cut. And then I'll repeat again with this side. So I wanted to hop in here real quick before I go and try to slice all those chain piecings. So this is a 3D printed creation. It's the Ohio Star thread cutter, the toolless thread cutter for on the go. It's sold exclusively at MK Quilts. They have a huge online presence. I know they do online classes, they do online store, they have their brick and mortar. Oh, I might be wrong. Palm Harbor, Florida, just outside Tarpon Springs. So it is actually my mom's local quilt shop. So one of their employees and her husband created this, which is really neat. So Ohio Star thread cutter, extend the value of your rotary blade, stick a used blade. And so we're going to have a front, a back, a push button, and then we're going to have the stand. Well, the stand in this case even has the little rubber stoppers. The stand in this case is also the traveling case to take it with you, which I think is great. So while I had to do this anyways, I figured I would pop on here and give them a little shout out. I will link you to their, I guess, online store, not necessarily the product. And I'm backwards, y'all. Why didn't you tell me? We're gonna put the Ohio Star facing out, just like the picture is showing us. We're gonna insert our push plug. Snap, snap, you heard that, right? It goes all the way through. I can't spin it because cut my fingers. We're gonna go right here and we're gonna go just like that. That is really cute. For some reason, when I saw them online announce these, and then when you're traveling, you just put it in the box and it takes it with you. I don't remember the star being white. For some reason, when they announced it, I thought she was just showing us solid colors. But look how cute that is. And so, not only am I gonna definitely take this with me on quilt retreats, but when you change your blade, it's also a good time to change your rotary cutter. Because look how dirty that is. Clean it, not change it. So now I can get my handy dandy little pile here, and you're just gonna go ahead and slice it through. Now I know there are other versions of this, something similar by other companies out there. I love to support Shop Small. I love to support Shop Local. Brick and mortars, and you know, just that home entrepreneur. And so when she announced that these would only be sold at MK Quilts, when she announced that these were created by her and her husband at home, I thought that was just awesome, and I definitely wanted one. And so, but look how cute. Now I've never seen one with a quilt block on it. And obviously it works because, you know, the rotary blade itself is doing the cutting. And I didn't even show you, but obviously you can even cut, you know, from the sides. So, alrighty, that was my little sales pitch for the day. So we're gonna go ahead and cut and press and all that fun stuff now that we are all disconnected from our chain. So there's two ways that we could totally do this. We could fold our flip over, we could press it, and then we can cut it. Or we can cut it. You're going to place that 1/4 inch line on your stitch line, and then we can go to the ironing station and press it. When I am choosing to do it this way. I'm going to pre-cut and then I'll press. I'm going to take my white square, flip it over so that everything's been tucked under, and then just go pink right there. And I will show you real quick. Don't have my spinny part with me today. So we started off like that. I measured and cut. I'm going to take my white square, flip it over, just gently hand guide that down and press my iron on it. Count to 5, do your thing, and that's it. And I am going to proceed to do that with all of them. I'll just show you one more. Maybe we could do it. Now you could do it this way too, from the back side. You can hold the pink and you can do it from the back side. Either way, it's totally up to you. For this block, I do want them pressed to the darker. So on this one, I held the white down and I just let it guide over. On this one, I held the pink down from the back side and guided it over. We all do things our own way. We find tips and tricks from everybody and just do what works for us. I know some might say there's a right and a wrong, but I'm not into quilt police. You know, I'm into, this is the way I do it. This is easy for me. This works for me. This makes me happy. I think we should all, you know, enjoy our hobby and not worry so much about, but it's the wrong way. In the end, we all end up with the same pieces. I'm gonna keep doing this. Right side, left side. And then I still need to put stitch, chain piece, all the little purples. So another thing with flipping stitches, you always get this extra half square triangle. If I would have thought about it earlier, when I went to stitch this first line, I could have came back and stitched the second line, which would have then, when I sliced it, I would have had it a completed stitched piece. But then again, that backtracks to when we drew that first line. If we would have used the left side of this ruler from edge to edge, we could have drawn 1, 2, and then we would have cut where it's currently cut, and that would have given us an extra bonus pre-stitched half square triangle. I don't do that often. I know it's a great thought. I think of it a lot. I just never actually do it. But what I do is Then pile all of these up into a box with the intentions of one day sewing them together. So same thing, just like we did with the white squares, we're doing with the purple squares. We're following the pattern. We're making mirror images. That's why I had 2 piles originally. So that pile and this pile, the purple. We're gonna go ahead and get our handy dandy little thread cutter here. And then we're going to follow suit. So we're gonna separate, then we're going to trim with that 1/4 inch from the stitch line, and then we're going to press the square open. In this case, it will be to the purple, which is the darker. Let's get this done real quick for you. Okay, so we're going to take our new purple corner. We're going to get our 1/4 inch from the stitch line. We're going to slice. Now, these are too small. These I personally wouldn't keep, because once you stitch that, well, some people do. It's a 1-inch half square triangle. I do not. That's a little too small for my comfort zone. So once that is trimmed, we're going to flip that open, and we're going to leave it towards the purple. Because right now the bulk of it, I mean, if we try to go this way, we're fighting with that seam there. So I'll just let it flow naturally as it wants to do. Go ahead and flip that purple corner, come to it, sit there and give it a press. And that is one section of our other section, which actually will look like this after they're all done. I just have to keep them separated so I know where to put, you know, the pieces to the right, to the left, and then when they're done, bring them opposite of each other. Flip them around. All right. It is a lot of, it was a lot of marking on the squares, I will admit. And it's a lot of flip and stitch corners. I'm not sure how or if this is possible without it, to be honest. Because I don't see anywhere where it's, you know, 2 at a time, considering that first one was a square on top of a rectangle. I'm not good enough with quilt math pattern writing to come up with. I know some people can be like, oh wait, you could do this trick and then have that block done without those flipping stitches or without the waist. I am not that good. So I'm just gonna go ahead and follow suit, trim these, press these, and then continue doing the exact same steps on those mirrored images. And then when I come back, we will have both sides and we'll see what we do next. Alrighty, I have the right angled unit and the left angled unit. And now we're actually going to flip them following the pattern. So what they're going to do, so when they're like this, you're getting that diamond point, I guess you could say. But instead, we want a spin on kind of like a flying gaze here with an angled piece there, and then those 2 little purples turn into a point. So that's what's next, is to take both sides and pair them all up. And let's see. After that, we get to play with all these straight cuts that I had pre-cut and off to the side. So I'll get to it. I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm just gonna sit here and literally pair everything up into the same units. Sorry about that. So I have connected all the pairs, and in this step I chose to press open. There is a lot of bulk right there, but it still turned out nice. If you wanted, one whole unit could have pressed to the white, pressed to the pink, and then one unit could have pressed to the pink and then pressed to the purple. Then this intersection would have been opposite. But nope, I wasn't going to do all that in my brain, because then I would get one mixed up with the other, and you never know what that would end up looking like. So those are all pressed open down the center seam. And now we know, because we're going to build this block. That's the top. That's the bottom. I still need to square off, so don't mind my pieces here. That's the left and the right, or right and left. And what's gonna happen is, let's see, I'll lift you up a little bit. And so what's gonna happen is my purple will come right inside of the beach. And I think that's really cute. So I am a huge fan of purples and greens together. I've even done like purples, oranges, yellows, but this is kind of fun, the purples and the peaches. And so that's what my swap said was her favorite colors, and the florals. So my extra tip and mine said bold, bright, fun, and funky. And so sometimes we get swappers that are opposite of us, but I've always been pleased with my swap items that I've received. So yeah, I'm just going to follow suit with the instructions, which is not doing any of this. I was just excited and wanted to show you the layout. So up next is we're going to put all those paired pieces to the side. And now we are going to build our corners. So our rectangle, and then our squares. But I need to split everything in half, because I need two to be like this, but then I need two hold on, give me a second here, I'll show you. I need half of my blocks to be where he's in the center left, and I need half of my blocks to be where he's in the center right. So just like we did with these guys, we're making mirrored images. So I will go ahead and separate everything in half, and I'm going to sew my small squares to my small rectangles. Then I'm going to take this unit and sew it to the large rectangle, and then I'll come back for placement. Okay, our units are sewn up. These are the four corners of the blocks. So we're going to go ahead and bring in that center square. We're going to take our units, north, south, east, and west. And then we're going to bring in our four corners. And that is the block. And we're going to do that 5 times. The pattern is actually 12 blocks, a 3x4 layout. But this one's going to be a table runner, so it's going to be 5 blocks across, excuse me. I'm super happy with it. I think it's going to be really cute. So I'm going to go ahead and work up. I do sew rows, so I'm going to go across the center and then across the bottom, and then I'll press them and piece them and all that fun stuff. So I got this unit complete, these units complete. I did press center out because I'm going to come in here and stitch these now, and they'll be pressed center in. And here we are with the center section stitched, pressed to the inside. And so now all we're going to do is take all 3, well, top and middle to start. See how my seams are now opposite, so they will nest. I'm going to pin each of those sections, and then I'm going to actually stitch with all of these up top. I don't want them to flip and flop in the feed dogs. If I went this way where I'm visually seeing the smoothest side, I mean, I know it has these 2 guys, but I would rather pin, and then stitch where all of these are facing up, and that way I can control and be mindful that they're not getting flipped and turned in the feed dogs. After I do all of the top to the center, I'll then come and proceed bottom to center in the same fashion. So here we are. That's the back side of the block. I then ended up pressing, 1, 2, 3 in. It just seemed easiest that way for this one. What I'm gonna do now is come in here and trim. I'm gonna follow one side at a time. I'm gonna do a 1/4 inch from those tips of the stars if I can. Okay, that's the key right there. If I can. If I can get that 1/4 inch, that is ideal. If it comes to it that one of them is just shorter, then I'm obviously going to have to square up to that shortest one, which is still giving me my 1/4 inch. I did not trim while piecing. Sometimes patterns will tell you this unit should measure, I don't know, 2x4. So after you put your half square triangles, after you put, whatever units together, you could trim that to 2x4 if that's what it says to do. Like I said, I didn't. I just zoomed and chose not to trim while making the blocks. But you can see here that my ruler is a little short, so I'm going to find that straight edge I just created and go ahead and finish. And you can tell it's not much, it's just stringy stuff. Here I'll take that short one again, hopefully get that lovely 1/4 inch off of there. And last but not least, this side. The other ones are done. They are up on the design wall. So what I'll do after I get this one trimmed is insert a picture, because my design wall won't hold all 5 straight across. So how big is this block anyways? 15.5. So 15 times 5, 30, 60, 75 inches long. So it's going to be 15 by 75 table runner or a bed runner, which I think is cute. You don't have to change the whole quilt on the bed. You could just put, you know, your favorite coverlet and then put a fun bed runner. And that just gives you a pop of color. But let me go ahead and get this up on the wall. And, well, it does fit. It's just going to be hidden by the TV a little bit. But thanks so much for watching. I'm not going to keep going. We obviously all know to take the 5 blocks and just go ahead and piece those pieces into there. But I'll run that picture. And yeah, thanks for watching. If you lasted this long, I appreciate all the YouTube support. So here we have all 5 blocks up on the design wall. You will notice that I rotated each block 1 click to the left. That way when I go to piece this unit right here, there's no seams to match. And so I did do that with all of them. And there they are, all 5, one hiding way under the TV. But it's fun. I'm happy with it. Just ran into the chair. It's long. It's like I can't even get it all into this image. But no, super pretty. So peaches, purples, florals was the inspiration for this swap. And I hope the recipient likes it.